Uh, yeah, so
Welcome back to
Platinum.
Pop. I feel like that's become our little intro sound.
Yeah, perhaps. So, what are we talking about today?
Oh, off the bat. So,
Off the bat, let's get into it.
we've heard the request, we hear your demands, and today we are here to do the Charli XCX episode.
Period.
Period. So, a little bit of preface. Today, Emily and I are working remotely. We didn't have time to meet in person, so we're recording this over Zoom. So, if there's any audio discrepancies or if it sounds a bit weird at times, please understand. Emily and I can't be together all the time as much as I would love to be. So, today we
Oh,
are working with Zoom. I know.
so I feel so official today. Like Johnny said, we're trying something new with the audio, and I think that doing it this way. I mean, I got a mic. I feel so professional right now. I am feeling myself, and I think I'm just gonna be an ASMR queen from this point on. Like, I think this is my new gig.
I think it's what's up. So, we did have a few people request us to talk about Charli XCX. And so we were circling around like, how do we approach this? Like, what exactly do we talk about? Do we talk about like top 5 songs, top 10 songs? Do we do an album? If we do an album, which album do we do? So we were kind of going in circles about this and pondering about how we would do this episode. And especially coming off of Midnight's, like, the 2-part series of that. I wanted to do something a bit lighter because that was quite a mammoth to take on. And I think something that would be a good introduction to Emily today is the album How I'm Feeling Now. So, yeah, what do you think?
What do I think about Charlie as an artist, or like how do I feel about this album?
I guess we'll just get right into it. So, what was your introduction to Charli XCX?
I would say you. Like, I mean, of course, I knew who Charlie was. I never knew that she was this popular, but I know
Hmm.
that she is very popular in the queer community because, she's an ally. But no, other than that, I wasn't really into her as much. But now, after meeting you and seeing how much of a fan you are, um, I don't know, it's kind of made me listen to her more. I feel like you have introduced me to her. And you have introduced me to a lot of artists also, like Ethel. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited to get into this. It's very new for me and I love it. Like, if I'm going to be gay, then I have to be a Charlie Stan. Like, you can't just be gay and not be a Charlie Stan.
It's true. I do feel like the majority of her fan base is in the queer community, especially in the United States. Her music is really, it's defined as being hyper pop, which I don't know why among the queer community it's so popular, but it just happens to be. And I'm not complaining. I would say she's definitely one of the queens of hyper pop in that respect. And my first introduction to Charli XCX as an artist, I think, was the album Pop 2, like when I really started to dive in. I remember Pop 2 came out and all the gays on my timeline were talking about it on Twitter. And I was like, like I should check that out. And I remember listening to it for the first time, which I don't know if you've listened to Pop 2. It's incredibly futuristic and like industrial. And on a first listen, like if you're not really familiar with the world of hyperpop music, it can be really jarring to listen to for the first time. So at that time, I was like, whoa, like this is a lot. And I found myself listening to it more because I just wanted to like understand it and kind of dig into that kind of music. I knew it was so popular in the queer community. So I wanted to really get my claws in and be like, what is it about this that is so popular? And so I kept listening to Pop 2 and I love it now. And I started to dig into her older work, like Number One Angel, and followed her into her recent works. such as How I'm Feeling Now, Crash. There was one more. Oh, the self-titled one, Just Charlie, which is also an excellent record. But for today, me and Emily decided that we're going to do How I'm Feeling Now, which was an album that was inspired by the start of lockdown at the beginning of COVID. And it was an album that was birthed in that way. Essentially, Charlie made this album over the course of a month and a half, which is unheard of. We're going to get into the lore a bit. We're going to get into the sounds and the songs and their meanings. And this album just means a lot to me. I think especially because at the time it came out, there was so much chaos going on. It was really hectic. So I think it's a good place to start. When you compare this album next to something like Pop 2, it's not as hyper pop. It's definitely more listenable for the average music consumer. So I think it's a good place to arrive in Charlie's discography. And yeah, we're just going to get into it today.
You were asking me about like my history with Charlie, how I got like introduced to her.
Yep.
I would totally forgot about Boom Clap. Like this was all over the radio. This was like the summer tune back in what, 2014?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, that was my intro to her, I would say. But also, what you were saying about the albums, I this is my first time listening to How I'm Feeling Now. I would say my favorite album from her is going to be Crash, which I hope that we can do an episode about that later on. But yeah, I'm really loving this era as well. So I'm excited about this. This is insane. Like what you said about how she did this in a month and a half, like unheard of. This has not ever been done.
Yeah, unheard of, never been done before. So actually, originally we were planning to talk about Crash, the album first, but upon further reflection, I was thinking that How I'm Feeling Now is a better place to dive into the discography because there's a little bit of something for everyone on this album, I think. And with Crash, the whole marketing of that was meant to be a marketable pop album with not a lot of substance or not a lot of depth to it, which of course there is depth and substance to it. But I think the vulnerability of this album, How I'm Feeling Now, really shines through the sonic landscape of it, the lyrics of it. And yeah, I think it touches on a lot of feelings of loneliness, a lot of feelings of missing people and wanting to go back into society, which is where most of us were at during lockdown. And yeah, so I guess, shall we just get into it?
Let's get right into it.
Before we recorded today's episode, I did instruct Emily to listen to How I'm Feeling Now throughout the day, ponder on it, have some time to chew with the material. And the first track on this album is Pink Diamond.
Yes, Pink Diamond.
Pink Diamond, I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favorite song on the album. It's very short. It's definitely meant to be an intro. And to me, it feels like a misleading intro for what the album actually touches on. It feels very like in the club, it's hot, it's sweaty, there's neon lights. I just want to go real hard, Pink Diamond in the dark. Like you're really getting that club feel from the song, which is ironic because the album is birthed and created due to the COVID pandemic lockdown. So I think it's meant to be misleading. I think the juxtaposition of that theme being introduced and then the song immediately after that, kind of departing from that theme is really interesting. What do you think about it?
So in my notes, I wrote, it is very repetitive and like, I don't really like the instrumental that much.
Yeah.
I know that Charlie is like such a great producer. I mean, she produces the shit by herself, I'm assuming.
No,
And
so
I
she
mean,
produces with A.G. Cook. That's like her main producer that she usually works with.
mhm.
But it's like Taylor Swift and Jack Antonoff, right? Like they both have one producer that they really trust with their ideas. I can go ahead and fact check now if he produced this actually.
I think that Pink Diamond is very repetitive and like it just kept saying, I just want to go real hard. Like, okay, we get it. We get it. I don't really like the instrumental that much. Like what Johnny was saying, it is kind of misleading as an intro because I don't know, this song doesn't really match the theme for pretty much all of the album. She's talking about love, loneliness, things like that, really getting in touch with her feelings and how she feels about other people. And this song is pretty much just like what Johnny said. It's like a club song. And I don't know, it's all right, I guess. Not my fave.
It's all right. So
I
I
can't
did
help
check.
it.
I checked. This song is produced by A.G. Cook and Dijon. So
Dijon Mustard.
that's what I was thinking. I wasn't gonna say it, but you did it. So Dijon is from Ellicott City, Maryland, near the city of Baltimore. Okay, so Pink Diamond, not the star that she thought she was on this album. While she was making this album, she tweeted, I want to make a song called Pink Diamond. And then I guess that's where this just came from. I don't know. I think she was just feeling silly and goofy. And that's what you get.
Yeah, it just sounds like a filler. There's not a lot of fillers. I would say there's like 2 fillers on this album that I wasn't really a fan of.
Okay.
Um, this is one of them.
Yeah, which, for
Yeah,
an intro, it's only 2 minutes. It's fine. There can only be so much substance to a 2-minute song, so I get it. But the
right.
next song is truly amazing. I really like this next one. So
Iconic.
the next song is called Forever, and it is produced by BJ Burton and A.G. Cook. On Genius, it's described as a love ballad directed towards Charlie's boyfriend at the time, Huck Kwong. The song shows how she wants to be in his life forever, even if they eventually drift apart, which they did end up doing. They're no longer together, unfortunately, even though the majority of this album is about him in some respect. For my thoughts on it, I have to say the way it builds into that outro, it swells, and there's this sense of release at the end.
I feel like different people can interpret this song in different ways. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be about an ex lover. It can be interpreted as like just any kind of other relationship, whether it's like a friendship or just like someone that was in your life at one point and now they're not. And you'll always have place in your heart for this person, even if it wasn't love. It's just like you will always care for this person, regardless of what kind of relationship it was. So yeah, I feel like it can be interpreted interpreted in a lot of different ways. And yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good interpretation of the song. I mean,
Thank you, Bestie.
we always have we always have a person in our lives that we reflect on, whether we admit it or not. There's always someone that made a really big impact, whether that was romantically or friendly or, within family. I think there's someone that makes a really big impact on us and we hold on to that memory really strongly. And I think that's what Charli XCX is describing here.
Period. You said that so well, Bestie.
Lyrically, it's quite simple. It's talking about, reminiscing with somebody, wanting to be with them, reflecting on the memories, going through hardships with somebody. At the end, it's like, I will love you forever. Like, no matter what is going on, the elephant in the room being COVID and lockdown. And I think it's just a beautiful song. Like I said, the way it swells at the end and just releases into that instrumental with the vocoded voice is so pretty.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is one of my favorite Charlie songs. Like, it's up there for sure. But what I will say about this, I personally like the Grimes remix more. It was a SoundCloud remix. I know that it wasn't like an official remix, but there is a Oblivion by Grimes remix, and uh it's kind of, mixed. And I don't know. I like that one a little bit more. I mean, this song is beautiful. Like you said, one of the standout lyrics is that I wrote down is you're not a ghost, you're in my head. So I don't know anything about Charlie's past relationships or anything like that, but I this is just like from an outsider point of view, just like going in blindly. You're not a ghost, you're in my head. Sounds like a breakup song that she initiated. Like I feel like she initiated the breakup maybe, but she still loves this person and the memories, but she just knew that the timing or situation wasn't right. But
Mm.
she will still love this person forever. And yeah, like she's saying, like he will always hold a special place in her heart.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring up the lyric about you're not a ghost, you're in my head, because the outro kind of reflects on that lyric by repeating front of my mind, in the front of my mind, you stay right in front of my mind. You're not dead to me. You're still very much a part of me, and I'm not letting that go no matter what. And I think that's kind of the message of the song. I mean, it's called Forever. Like, I will always love you, and she will always have love for this person that she's singing about, even as I said, if they drift apart. And I think it's just a beautiful love song.
But have you heard the remix, the Grimes remix?
I have not heard the remix, so I will have to check that out.
Girl, you have to. I love it. Are you a Grimes fan?
I'm not, I haven't gotten into her. So, yeah, is there any other thoughts you wanted to share about Forever?
I mean, I think you said enough. I really love it. Like I said, one of my favorite Charlie songs. I think that the lyrics are simple, like you said, but it's just like the instrumental and the tone of it was really nice. I mean, I think it flows really nicely. And yeah, I love it. I love the message in it. I feel like there will always be that person in your life. It's just like a first love kind of thing. So I think that this song really encapsulates that. Encapsulates. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay, word. Okay, vocabulary.
So, yeah,
Okay.
are we giving a golden star to Forever?
Are we going like 1 through 5 or just like golden star?
Golden star.
Yeah, I would say this is a golden star for sure. This is one of my top Charlie songs. If you haven't listened to the remix with Grimes, I recommend it because I
We'll,
love both songs.
we'll have to check it out for sure. Going on to track 3, not produced by A.G. Cook, produced by Dylan Brady. This is Claws, which I do have to say, I think this might be my favorite on the album. This was the second single. This song, so I have like a little bit of a personal backstory with this song. This album came out, or when this particular single came out, I was just leaving quarantine. It was the first time I came to South Korea, and I was finally leaving quarantine after being in a hotel in the middle of nowhere for 2 weeks. And, like in quarantine, you start to lose it a little bit. Like you start to feel really lonely. And especially where I was quarantining, like it wasn't in the city. I was literally in the middle of nowhere and like northeast South Korea, like in all the mountains. Like you look out the window, there was only mountains. And this song feels like flying in the air. Like I feel like I'm in a video game flying. It feels so happy. And I remember my first steps in Korea, like, being outside of quarantine, were listening to this song. And
Wow.
it has such a special place in my heart. Like any time I listen to this, it takes me back to those moments of being so amazed by this new world that I was being introduced to and getting out of quarantine and, arriving in a country that I would soon enough call my home.
That's so beautiful, bestie. No, but you slayed. And I think that we have very different views of this song.
Oh,
So I think she was just horny.
yeah,
Like I just think that this sounds like a makeup sex song with an ex someone.
I could see that.
But you're like background story is so beautiful.
It just feels so happy.
No, I could definitely see that. It's very upbeat and it's cute.
Yeah, and I also like that the song kind of references Unlock It because
Unlock it.
Unlock It is my favorite on Pop 2. She says in this song, "We're so high, roller coaster ride, diamond bright, kiss me right." And then Unlock It,
Roller coaster
roller coaster
ride.
ride in the fast lane. So she's kind of calling back to that. So I was gagging about
I
that.
love that.
Yeah. And juicy, just like clementines. Like, how can you not gag? That's that's mother.
He's mothering. Charlie XCX is literally mother.
The way that Charli XCX is literally mother right now. But yeah, what were your thoughts on this song?
It is a sleigh. And I think it's really cute that you had like a backstory to it. It's very cute. I'll have to give it another listen. But yeah, should we get into the next song? I feel like this is more complex.
This is a complex song. So the next song is 7 Years, and it's produced by BJ Burton and AJ Cook. So, I mean, you seem to like this one, so I'm gonna let you go on.
Okay. Well, obviously, I don't know anything about like the lore of it all. I don't even know about her ex, the one that you mentioned. I don't know anything about them. So I don't know if this song is pertaining to that relationship. I mean, I don't know. Have they been together for 7 years? I just have no idea. But when I listen to this song, I think that it's like a complicated love that has gone like too deep, where like to the point where they can't live without each other because it's been too long. It's like, how can I even like be alone now? Like we're in this way too fucking deep. Like I can't do life without you. And like even the lyrics, she's saying like really complicated, we're too deep, babe. It's like right on the fucking nose, you know what I mean? And it says like used to be afraid to say it, now that's changed. So like I think that she never wanted to fall in love and like was kind of scared of love. And you can like hear that in a lot of the other songs on the album where she's just like tiptoeing around the idea of love, but it scares her and she has like a fear of commitment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like after all this time, I mean 7 fucking years is a long time, she realized like, okay, like let's get into it. Like this really is love. And I think that she embraces it in this song.
Yeah. So I guess I'll explain the lore to you since the song is probably most important in regards to her relationship. So basically, as I mentioned previously, she was dating a guy named Huck Kwong for a while, and they were kind of on and off, and they weren't dating, entirely in a consistent manner for a long time. But having a relationship did span over 7 years, despite there being discrepancies during that time period. And she started to realize that she wanted to commit to him during quarantine because they ended up quarantining together. And that was the most time that they'd ever spent together. I remember in the documentary, she was explaining, like, this is the most time we've ever spent together because I think she's from the UK. I'm pretty sure he's from the US. They were quarantining together in the US, I want to say. I don't know. I don't know that much. But suddenly they found themselves in a position where they had to spend a lot of time together and they had to face those problems that they were dealing with for 7 years. And I think that Charli XCX had a realization like you're the one. I mean, it's so sad because they ended up breaking up, but this song, it's really sweet and it paints a really complicated relationship over a long period of time. I love the outro of this song where the instrumentals are kind of dulled down and her voice is louder and there's more like vocal effect. I love the outro of the song. And then it kind of does a similar thing to Forever where it starts to kind of mesh in the end. Like the sounds start to mesh a bit and I really love it.
Yeah, I think that she really took her time with this song, like production wise. and I give it to her. This is a slay.
So she did an interview with Apple Music when she released this album, I think, and this is what she had to say about it if you want to hear it.
I do. I do want to hear it.
Okay, so she said, "This song is just about our journey as a couple and the turbulence we've incurred along the way. It's also about how I feel so peaceful to be in this space with him now. Quarantine has been the first time that I've tried to remain still, physically and mentally. It's a very new feeling for me. This is also the first song that I've recorded at home since I was probably 15 years old, living with my parents. So it feels very nostalgic as it takes back to a process I hadn't been through in over a decade." That's so interesting.
Wow.
And it's interesting that she said that in the interview because in verse 1, she says, "So I made my house a home with you. I'm right here and it feels brand new." And that's kind of referencing the fact that they're now sharing the home together during quarantine.
And that's what she said.
And that's what she said. James?
James.
But
But
yeah,
no, I think that's beautiful. And I think that that can really be, that can take a huge toll on a relationship. So I like that she's being out and, honest about the struggles that she went through and how they eventually saw it through and then they didn't. That's kind of sad,
life is hard.
but still a beautiful song.
Yeah, do we give a star to this? Oh, I give a star to Claus, by the way. I forgot to say that.
I would say yeah, Golden Star for 7 years, just for like the complexity of it. We love to see it.
Yeah, I do really like 7 years, so I'm gonna have to give her her flowers. All right, so shall we get on to the next track?
Yes, detonate. We love her.
Okay. This is definitely one of my favorite songs on the album. I would honestly say Fighting with Claws to be number one. The song is dealing with the anxiety of commitment, I think, and, you know, mood swings, bipolar, this kind of thing. It seems like she has a really hard time trusting herself to give a partner what they need in a relationship, and she knows what she can bring. She says, like, dirty, I can talk dirty, I can make you feel so sick, switch your faith and leave you so low. She's saying that she knows she's capable of not being the best partner, and she's acknowledging the really unfavorable traits that she brings to the table in a relationship, and she has a lot of anxiety that she's going to bring this onto the other person, and she knows she can be toxic at times. And before you get into your thoughts, I wanted to read what she said with Apple Music when she released the album. "I wrote the lyrics on a day where I was experiencing a little bit of confusion and frustration about my situation. I maybe wanted some space. It's actually quite hard for me to listen to this song because I feel like the rest of the album is so joyous and positive and loving. But it encapsulated how I was feeling, and it's not uncommon in relationships sometimes." And yeah, I think that's like a perfect way to put it. She's like, I need space from this. I'm having a lot of anxiety. I feel like the worst of me is coming out. She says in the post chorus, "I don't trust myself at all. Why should you trust me? I don't trust myself alone. Why should you love me?" Like, she's having these really strong feelings of self doubt. And that's really scary. Like, I think a lot of people can relate to that in relationships.
I think that you took the words right out of my mouth, bestie. That was another standout lyric, like what you said, "I don't trust myself alone. Why should you love me?" I feel like everyone has had that feeling. And I think that this is just such a deep and like, honest, raw emotion that not a lot of people talk about. Like, I don't even love myself. Like, how could you love me,
Yeah, I mean, and the title itself is Detonate. She's talking about feeling like she's going to blow up from these.
She's like, yeah, like she's like a ticking time bomb ready to detonate at any moment. Like, just have a full on meltdown.
Yeah, I'm about to detonate, pull you close, and then I'll be gone. Like, she is scared of the lack of space between them. And I'm assuming once again that this is about their time together in quarantine. And I love at the end of the song where you hear like the little fizzle sound, like as if it's about to blow up.
Yeah, we love a good snippet.
We do. But yeah, I have to say, this song, I relate to it a lot, especially like in some previous relationships. I felt like we were together too much and I needed some separation to feel more comfortable and kind of, they say like distance makes the heart grow fonder, right? People say this. And there were times where I felt really overwhelmed and I felt like the worst of me was coming out and I needed space to deal with that personally, but I couldn't find the space and it literally felt like I was going to detonate with my feelings. And I think this is a really relatable song.
For sure. And I think that this song, I mean, you hit it right on the nose. Like, you laid it all out pretty much. But also, I feel like this song has a lot of different meanings. Like, I feel like it's also saying she's not really ready to settle down and she doesn't trust herself to be like full into someone, like in a deep, like, this is official relationship. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that she's confused with her emotions and she's pushing that someone away because she's scared and she doesn't trust her emotions. And like you said, she knows her toxic traits in a relationship and she just doesn't know if she can be that person for them, even if she wants to be.
That's a really good way to put it. Like, she doesn't know if she could do that, even if she wanted to. I think that's a really excellent way to put this song. Like, it feels like a really big self-confliction and an argument going on inside of yourself. Like, I want to be this, but I don't know if I can be. I want to be the best person that I can for me and this other person, but it feels impossible. Like, there's so much anxiety in this song. And as someone with anxiety, I really relate.
I will say that as a person with anxiety, I feel like it's normal to have these feelings when you're first going into a relationship. Like, you don't want to hurt this person, but you also don't want to hurt yourself in the long run. And I feel like also having anxiety, I know for me, in my past relationships, I have been that someone who has like self-sabotaged in relationships. And I feel like that can also correlate with this song.
Oh, yeah. This song has like really heavy themes of self sabotage, letting your feelings get the best of you in a relationship. You and I both, we've been there.
Her.
Per.
We all have baggage.
We do. And sometimes they detonate.
Ooh.
And that's what I said. So, do we give Detonate a golden star?
Golden star for sure.
I give it
We love her.
stars.
2 golden stars. Damn. Okay.
So that brings us to track 6, which is Enemy, which we are not. We're besties, but we do have enemies.
I think you have enemies. Like, for me, I don't have any friends or any people that I know to even consider them enemies. Like, you're my only friend. So, damn, wait, that's depressing. Like, but yeah.
So, Enemy, track 6. I really like this song because it's taking something that is a very famous expression, which is keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And it's kind of playing on that expression. And she's saying, like, essentially, there's a guy or somebody who is her love interest or potential love interest, and they're so close to her that she's like, are you my enemy? Like, why are we this close? They say keep your friends close but your enemies closer, but I don't know how it gets closer than this. So what are you? Like, are you my enemy if you're this close, or are you actually someone that I can trust? And I think, once again, this follows off of Detonate really well, because once, we're back at those themes of self-confliction, self-doubt, and not being able to trust your instincts or your feelings. She says, maybe you are my enemy. You know, this could be incredibly detrimental to me if we're this close. In the song, there's also a feeling of like acceptance. Like, you could be my enemy, but I'm willing to accept it. And I really like the interlude in the song, like the voicemail interlude, where she says, I think a tough journey to be on whilst you're around a lot of people. I feel like I'm learning that about myself and I don't really fully understand it yet. It hurts here. It like hurts here. And I think that's so vulnerable. Like, she's, I mean,
Yes.
she said it. Like, I don't understand. And that journey of not understanding is hard when you're around people. When you have to make so many people happy and there's so many places to be, especially her as a celebrity, it must be really hard to navigate those feelings in her life. You know, she also says in the chorus, going back to her saying, like, you could be my enemy, like, this could be detrimental for me. She says, now it's really clear to me, you could do a little damage, you could cut me deeper. Like, if you're this close to me, you could kill me, like, to some extent, and damage me in a large way. And I just think it's a really incredible way to play on the expression that we all know. And I really like this song. I think it follows Detonate really well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, took the words right out of my mouth. And like you said, one of the standout lyrics for me was, you can do a little damage, you can cut me deep. I think what she's saying is, I mean, when you start a relationship with someone as deep as this, it can be a risk. Because, either this person, it's going to end really good or it's going to end really bad, and that's just a risk that you take. And I think that, I don't know, I think I had a different message when listening to this. I said that she knows that this person isn't good for her and a little toxic, but she's still down for it. I think from listening to this album, she wants someone that is just as risky as her when it comes to relationships. And from this album, I mean, I don't know her as a person, just like the theme of this album is, she's kind of wishy-washy with what she wants. Either she wants it, like she's down, or she's not at all. She's kind of like tiptoeing around that. And another standout lyric that I listened to was, told you I'm scared of nothing. Like, I think that what she's saying is that she's not saying like, oh, I'm not scared of anything, like I'm fearless kind of thing. It's like, I think she's saying she's scared of nothing, as in like being alone. Like, she's scared of feeling that nothingness. And I also like the interlude, like what you said. I don't know, it's giving like 3 a.m. vibes, like midnights. Like, she's just in like her room by herself and like really getting in touch with her emotions. And I think it was a very raw thing for her to do. And I think it's very, I don't know, I respect her for that, for putting her emotions on the line like this and being very honest with people. And I mean, I feel like everyone has had these feelings before, and she's just putting them into writing. And I really love that for her. So, yeah.
I absolutely love what you said about I'm scared of nothing line. I think that was such a good interpretation because I never took it that way. Like, I took it as her literally telling him, like, oh, I'm not scared of anything. But what you said just made so much sense, that it's like, I am scared of nothing, like having nothing, being nothing. And, you know, also in the second verse, she's talking about, I feel guilty, I feel nervous. You know, it feels like we're going back into the anxiety that was touched on in Detonate. And it's interesting also that you took it as like he's toxic for her too. Um, I didn't seem to take it that way, but I think it's really interesting that we have different perspectives on it. And it is a very vulnerable song. And I think it's also interesting that you brought up Midnights because I do feel like how I'm feeling now is kind of the Midnights of Charlie's discography. The mission statement for Midnights was that this is a compilation of songs that paint the stories of things that kept me up at night, the things that left me wandering, that, you know, gave me anxiety, that kept me up in the middle of the night. dreaming of what could have been. And that's really what this album is. So I think it's really interesting that you brought that up. But yeah,
I
this
love it.
is it's a really good song. It's one of the more pop songs on the record too, I would like to add. Like it's less experimental and definitely more poppy, I would say. And I wanted to read the quote that Charli XCX gave to Apple Music about the song. So the song is based around the phrase, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I kept thinking about how if you can have someone so close to you, does that mean that one day they could become your biggest enemy? They'd have the most ammunition. I don't actually think my boyfriend is someone who would turn on me if anything went wrong, but I was playing off that idea a little bit. As the song is quite fantasy based, I thought that the voice memo was something that grounded the song. Oh, that's so interesting. So, like, the song itself isn't incredibly personal. Like, it's not something she was actually dealing with, at least what she says. But she knew the voice memo was something very personal and would ground the song in truth and relatability and vulnerability, which I think is really smart.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she says like my boyfriend would never hurt me. So I think that this is like theoretical, you know? It's just,
Yeah, yeah.
like I said, it's just a risk that you take when you get into a relationship. Yeah, it's like the Taylor lyric. What is it? Oh, it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go
Go
down in
down in
flames.
flames. Yeah,
Yeah,
literally. It really is like that. This is like
period.
this song is kind of the prelude to Blank Space. It's the more vulnerable version of Blank Space for sure. So, do we want to give golden stars to Enemy?
Yes, I think she is that girl, and I like the
The beat?
like you said. I like the beat and I like the tone and the flow of this song. It's very
It's
deep
really good.
and we love to see it.
I like the beat. I do give a golden star to Enemy. This is also, I would say, top four, I think. Yeah, it's really
Of
good.
like all of them, like all of your top Charlie songs, like this is up there for you?
In this album,
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I don't think it would make like top five of all her discography, but it is a really good song. That brings us to track number 7. So this is I Finally Understand. This is another favorite of mine, I do have to say. This is actually the third single from the album. It's very experimental, I have to say. The sound of it sounds really industrial. Like, there's a story here, right? Like, I think going from Detonate to Enemy to I Finally Understand, it's really interesting the story that's being woven throughout those 3 songs because they're all intertwined, in my opinion. So, what she's talking about here is essentially this love could kill me. Like, I love you so much, and I'm scared of what's going to happen to me because I love you so much, which is really real. And we're kind of going back to those feelings of self doubt. It's really real. And she says, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
She says,
Yeah.
I love you bad because lately I finally understand that maybe this feeling that I found might kill me, put me in the ground. And she also talks once again about like the self-doubt. My therapist said I hate myself really bad. You tell me it's fine. Let me cry and hug it out. I think she's found a safe space with her partner. And these feelings of self-doubt are really taking over. If there's one thing that we learn about Charli on this album, it's that she has a lot of feelings of self-doubt when it comes to her relationships, and she deals with a lot of anxiety in that regard. That's what I mean, like when I say it's really real. In terms of the message that she's giving us, it's very vulnerable, it's very honest, and it's very raw for her to be talking about these kinds of things so openly. This is a really honest song that kind of goes off the themes that were introduced in the two previous ones.
No, I love how you just got a totally different message from that than what I did because what I wrote down was this song is dirty. Like, I feel like this is kind of like a scandalous song, like a sexy song. But no, I do love the lyric, you love me even when I hate myself. Because I relate.
Who can relate?
I'm not doing this again.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, okay.
so yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this song. I think you did that, bestie. No, I think it's kind of dirty. It's a little ooh, you know?
It can be. I mean, I just think they found a safe space with each other and they learned that they can rely on one another. And yeah, I think it's really interesting.
Hmm.
There's not a lot to say. Like it's pretty straightforward, the song in particular. Like she's literally just saying,
Right.
like, I understand this feeling now. And the first part to fixing a problem is acknowledging that you have it. And I think that's what's going on here. I mean, do you want me to read you what she said in the interview with Apple Music?
Please do.
Okay. She said, the song is basically about how me and my boyfriend are quarantined together during this time. I'm conscious that I've spoken about this a lot and I don't want people to be like, shut up about your boyfriend, but I'm writing about what I know and we're quarantined together and our relationship wasn't in a brilliant place prior to quarantine. I'm not going to say at the end of the road, but close to it. We were living on separate sides of the country, and even though we were physically far apart, we were emotionally quite distant as well. I'm extremely lucky that quarantine has brought us physically close together because now we're living in the same house, but also emotionally. And I finally understand that this person is someone who I can trust with my life, and I will have my security and protection at the front point of their heart no matter what. So that's what it's about. Very emo. That's what she said. That's so cute.
Very emo. I myself would also say I am quite emo. This song, I mean, this album is very emo for sure.
I agree. There's a lot of vulnerability.
Right, right.
So, do we give I Finally Understand a golden star?
I mean, for me, it was all right. Like, I don't know.
I'm giving it a golden star. I really like this song.
You do that, bestie. I won't hold it against you.
It's definitely a grower for sure. Like, if when you listen to it the first time, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
I think there's space to grow. So that brings us to track number 8, which I have a very strong feeling that this is the other filler song for you.
Yes!
I knew
This
it.
is a snoozer. Repetitive and a snoozer. Sorry to say it. Hate to say it. But yeah, it just sounds like an interlude. I just feel like this was something to fill in the gaps.
Oh, so actually this is C2.0, and the title actually means Click 2.0, and Click is a song from her self-titled album. So it samples that song, or like it interpolates it. The beginning, the intro is like the repetitive I'm next level so legit with all my click that's interpolated from Click. But I do love when it finally gets into the song and we get into the verses. And it feels like really rainbowy. I don't know, like it feels really happy, kind of floating through the clouds. To me, this song serves more as an interlude on the album, and it kind of touches on, being happy with your friends, driving around at dawn, having fun, holding on to the memories. But yeah, I think it was interesting to interpolate a previous song, like being self referential on this album. I think it really fits. So, what Charli XCX said in her interview to Apple Music was that towards the end of this recording process, I wanted to do a few more songs, and AG reminded me of this track. The original Click features Tommy Cash and Kim Petras, and it's a very braggy song about our community of artists. It's talking about how we're the shit, basically. But through this, it's been transformed into a celebratory song about friendship and missing the people that you hang out with the most and the world that existed before. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I think like I basically said, it's just touching on missing your friends. I think this is another one of those ones where you really relate to it during lockdown and the process of COVID. You know, reflecting on those memories with friends, wishing you were with them, and it feels like a memory. Like it feels like a really happy memory that's playing in your head. Like that's what I get when I listen to the song. It's not a skip for me. I do like it. I do think the intro goes on a little bit too long, but besides that, I think it's a good track and I do like it.
Like you said, everyone can relate to this song in the sense of missing your friends. I mean, even us being expats in another country where we're not with our friends all the time, I guess we do have those memories still of our little clique back in our, back in our country where we used to live, and just, yeah, yearning for your friends, but also in lockdown more so. Damn, I'm getting kind of emo. The fuck? I do miss my friends.
That's cute. Oh my
I
god.
mean, do you relate? Like, don't you feel that way?
Oh my god, of
Like,
course.
like I just want to send them over here.
And also, like, you have to think, like I said, this album came out when I first came to Korea.
Exactly.
It was really relatable. It still is very relatable to me, especially after living in Korea for 3 years at this point. It's extremely visual in my head, you know, imagining those drives down the road at sunset with my friends, listening to music in the car, having picnics. I miss that so much, and it really reminds me of that. So, yeah, I don't know. The song is just very nostalgic in a very weird way, and I enjoy it. I think it's a good tune.
Very good way to put it. Yeah, I would say it's nostalgic.
Hmm. So, do we give it a golden star?
For me, no. Like I
Um,
like the message of it, but it's all right. I wouldn't give it a star, but I could see why you would give it a star.
that's not right.
And that's not right.
You're taking me for granted.
Brought it. Oh my god. Don't hate us, Charlie. We love your accent. I'm surprised we haven't like stuck to a British accent. Because once I stall, I can't stall. Delete. Delete.
Oh my god. Yeah, so
I'm really
I'm
good. Stop! But oh my god. Rip headphone users.
what is next? What do we got?
Party for you.
Okay. So this is one of the songs that kind of has lore to it, I would say. Party for You, there was a finished version of it long before this album came out. Like we're talking back 2016, 2015. There was a demo of the song that was floating around. She would play it at her sets, like during concerts, but it was never released. And people were begging her to release it. And so for How I'm Feeling Now, she reworked it and finally gave it the release it deserves. And it is a fan favorite. And I think it's an amazing song. Like, I've loved it from when I heard the demo for the first time to even now. Like, I remember back when the demo was floating around because it wasn't like a studio quality demo, it was like a recording from the concert. And I had it like plugged in my Apple Music, and I would just listen to that, like the live recording of it. So I felt truly fed when I was finally feasting on this song in its full quality.
For me, this song, Party for You, I mean, I don't know any of the lore. I have not been in this fan base like you have been. I haven't been fully immersed. But Party for You, I think it's very obvious, very right on the nose that she threw a party, hoping that she didn't throw a party during quarantine, side eye. But like you said, this was like a throwaway song that she just had, and then like she just put it on this album.
It already existed before this album, but she reworked it to fit on the album. Like the demo is different than this version, but they're both really good.
Right, right. So, should I go into my feelings about this song?
Yeah, go for it. I want to hear what you think.
Like I said, it's very obvious, right on the nose. She just threw a party. I mean, party for you. Duh. Hoping this person would show up and said she plays their favorite songs, hoping they'd come through. And I think that this person that she's talking about sounds hesitant. Like this also sounds like a booty call, I feel. A standout lyric for me was if you saw my tears, would you touch me? Kiss me on what? Kiss me on the mouth, say you love me, leave me what? Jesus. Leave a message. Tell me you're sorry. So, oh my god. Oh damn. That was a lot. This person sounds just as toxic as Charlie in a sense. And I think she knows that, but she loves it. She loves the toxicity of it all. And that's what I have to say about that.
Slay. I mean, you said it just as well as I could have. She's thrown a party for this person in the hope that they're going to show up. And she, I mean, I think the party is a metaphor for hoping that the person just shows up for her. Like, it doesn't even have to be at a party necessarily. I think it's like, I just want you to show up for me, like emotionally, physically. I want you to be there for me when I need you. You know, the party itself could be like this facade or this act that she's putting on to be good to this person or like trying to be good for this person. Like, I'm being good for you, so I want you to show up for me. This kind of thing.
Ooh, that's a good metaphor, actually.
So I'll read you what she said in her interview. This is the oldest song on the album. Lyrically, it makes sense now as it's about throwing a party for someone who doesn't come, the yearning to see someone but they're not there. The song has literally grown. We recorded the first part in maybe 2017. There are crowd samples now in the song from the end of my Brixton Academy show in 2019, and now there are recordings of me at home during this period. It's gone on a journey. It kept on being requested and requested, which made me hesitant to put it out because I like the mythology around certain songs. It's fun. It gives these songs more life, maybe even more than if I'd actually released them officially. It continues to build this non-existent hype, which is quite funny and also definitely part of my narrative as an artist. I've suffered a lot with leaks and hacks, so I like playing with that narrative a little bit. She said it like, the meaning of the song has definitely grown over time. You know, I think originally it started as being a literal party, but I think in quarantine that took on a different meaning for her. And that can be reflected in the different parts that were added more recently, like while she was preparing for this album. Like, I wish you'd get here, kiss my face, instead you're somewhere far away. I think that there's a distance there and it feels more complex than just like, oh, I'm hoping you show up, right? It's like, I want you to show up for me. Like, fuck the party. Like, I want you to show up for me. I really like the song. I've liked it since I first heard the demo, and I think it's undergone like a really beautiful transformation as a song. And I love it. I like the beat.
Yeah, and I'm sure like what she was saying, how she was hesitant about like putting this song out. Like, can you imagine like all of these fans love the demo and now she feels like this pressure to make this song as iconic as the demo was. But I think she ate with this. Like metaphorically, it's a slay. Flow wise, lyric wise, I think people can visualize this in all kinds of different ways, like in the like literal sense of like it's just a party, like you said, or like, like what you said, like showing up and, reciprocating the same energy.
Yeah, I completely get what you mean. And yeah, this is just a song about wanting to, as you said, see that energy being reciprocated from someone else, putting in a lot of effort, preparing a party takes a lot of effort. So she's hoping to see that effort reciprocated from somebody else.
Period.
Yeah, I have to give the song a golden star. I do really enjoy it. I like the beat.
As do I. I'm very curious about how you feel about the next song.
Track 10 is called Anthems. And Charli has definitely had better track 10s in her career.
This song for me just felt like I took speed. Like, this,
It's like this song is the epitome of ADHD head space.
yes, yes.
Do you want to talk about it, bestie? Talk about it.
No, like that's all I took from it. Yeah, it's very fast paced. Yeah, I felt like I took speed. What I wrote was this sounds like the quarantine anthem, and that's pretty much it.
So this song is a song. What exactly is it about? One may never know.
It's
But
just a song. It's really real.
it's tuna talk. It is tuna talk in a song.
Literally.
That's what it
Yeah, for
is.
sure.
So on Anthems, Charli reminisces about the time she went out and partied with her friends, something she often talks about in her lyrics. It also describes about how much she misses all these things in the wake of COVID-19 that made all these things impossible. During the process of making this album, she was communicating a lot with the fans. She was hosting like group Zoom sessions where she would be writing the song with them and she would allow for real-time feedback. And she was also
Oh
doing
my,
like Instagram Live, etc. And this was one of the songs that was really influenced by fans' suggestions.
that is so cute.
I don't know if it's an approach that she will take again to make a song. I think it's definitely a product of its time. Like it's just really it covers all the bases. She's like, I want to party. I feel so exhausted not doing anything. I feel uninspired. Me and my boyfriend were together, but some days I'm scared and I just lose myself in media like music and TV. And I just want to be with my friends again. Like she's literally saying all of this at once in a really fast pace. It's a product of its time for sure. I think it's really interesting, like the process of the song itself, but the song sonically for me doesn't do it. This is one that I do not listen to.
I feel like it would give me a panic attack.
Yeah, it's really fast. It's really heavy. It's a lot on the ears.
I just feel like it's overstimulating.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think for like especially people like us with ADHD, being overstimulated is like really overwhelming.
For sure.
I say that as I cheerfully listen to Charli XCX music all the time. But this song in particular, there's just something about it. It just doesn't click with me. It's not a bad song. It's not my vibe, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right, right. No, I agree. It's just not one of those like standout songs on this album. I just feel like it feels a little rushed. I don't know. Just something to fill in the gaps again, I guess.
Hmm. That brings us to the final track of this album. Woo! And that is Visions. She really finishes this album strong. I really like this song. Um,
Same.
it wraps up the album perfectly because we're getting all the themes that we touched on before. We're getting the anxiety, we're getting the self-doubt, we're getting the I want you to show up for me, we're getting the I want to be at the party vibe, like with the outro, the instrumental outro. We're talking about memories, like, themes from forever. There's so many callbacks to the rest of the album. I just love this song. I love the verse, like verse number 2, where she's like, can't change what I feel, never seen the future so real, but maybe I'm just fantasizing. Like, I don't know. The lyrics are they're very simple, but something about it is very visceral. Something keeps on pulling me close. I don't know. It's like there's a desperation in this song, and then for it to swell up and then completely go berserk in the outro, there's something so satisfying about it. Like
Letting go.
it feels like she's finally letting go of all the anxiety and the self-doubt and it's so perfect because we're at the end of the album. We're tying up the loose ends of the story, and it's a great way to end it.
Yeah, I totally agree. What I wrote down was this was one of my favorite songs on the album. Like the flow, the beat, everything about it is just really satisfying. And I think for me, this is a song about hope, like she was kind of doubtful, but now she's really falling into it. Like she's really accepting, like, damn, like this is really real. Like I'm
Yeah,
falling in love. And so I think for me, I think she's visualizing her future with this person and she's visualizing that this is the person that she wants to be with and she just has accepted that and she has fallen head first into this relationship and she's saying like okay you can call me crazy but this is how I feel and I'm really picturing a future with you and I can see this going really well and yeah, it's giving Y2K for me. I really love the feeling of this song. And yeah, that's all I have to say about it. It's a bop, for
it's
sure.
a certified club banger, especially the outro of it. Like, I'm like, get me in the club right now. Like, what is this?
It's for sure a happy song. I love it.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the songs on the album, they're talking about darkness and, not being able to see a future, feeling so stuck, feeling anxious, feeling self-doubt. And in this, she's like, I can see it so clearly and it looks so right. You can call me crazy following that light. You know, the narrative is changing and it feels like there's been a shift from that darkness that we were in the songs before. And I think it's so good as an outro. Like it really wraps up the album. I like the beat. I think it's a great outro.
For sure. I love a good happy ending. And I think that's exactly what this is. It's just like a happy ending. It's closure.
I don't know if it's necessarily a happy ending, but it is closure. And I think it hints towards her having a more hopeful outlook on what the future has to hold.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Bestie.
Yeah. Do we want to give a star, a golden star?
Golden Star for sure. This is like one of my top three on the album. I don't
Really?
know. Perhaps. I'll give
Okay.
it to her. I'll give it to her.
I'm going to give it a golden star too. So, as we wrap up the podcast today, Emily, how do you feel about how I'm feeling now as, a full project introduction to Charli XCX?
Coming into this as a fan with like no prior knowledge or anything, I think that this is a very good intro album for sure. It's very raw, like we stated before. I just feel like Charlie is such an artist for, you know, going head first into this challenge and to really put out something that is so raw, so unfiltered, so human. I feel like we forget celebrities are humans. They're just like us. They have the same thoughts and the same doubts as we do. No one's perfect. And I feel like this experimental album is just, I don't know, it's insane. Like the process of this, the production of this, how she did this in like a month and a half, I think is what you said. It just shows how dedicated she is to her craft and how dedicated she is to her fans. She wanted to give the girlies, the little chickens, something to chew on during quarantine. And she did just that. And she devoured. And she's so chaotic, but I love her for that. And yeah, I love her as an artist. I love the album. There was a few snoozers, but other than that, it's a bop for sure.
Yeah, and I think the album feels very cohesive. I think there's something to be said for the fact that she made this album in a month and a half because there's only so many feelings that you can go through in such a short period of time. So there's a very strong sense of cohesion in thought and emotion on this album that I think many albums may not have because it's recorded over a long period of time. Feelings change, people change, things happen, dynamics shift, but I think this is really a product of its time. And I don't know if we'll ever see something like this from her again, but I'm so grateful that this project exists. And I think it's really a snapshot into her life during quarantine. And I'm really glad that I was able to break it down with you, bestie.
I had a great time and I'm very interested in going further into her other albums. I'm really excited for that.
Of course. I mean, she is the moment. I mean, come on now.
Now, come on now.
You guys are gonna have to let us know what album from Charlie you want to see us break down next. Me and Emily, we have some things in the works. We're going to do Lana Del Rey. We're gonna do perhaps another Charlie album. We also have Speak Now, Taylor's version to prep for. So exciting things are
Also,
coming.
Ethel.
Ethel as well, whenever she releases Preacher's Daughter Side B, we would love to see it. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to our breakdown of how I'm feeling now. This is Johnny.
And this is Jessica. No, sorry, this is Emily. I'm so stupid. Okay. We gotta keep them guessing. Gotta keep them on their toes.
Yeah, but we love you, Pookie.
We love you, Pookie. Thank you for listening. Mwah.
Yeah.
Bye. Okay.